reports of my demise have been greatly exaggerated. I haven't streamed for the last 2 days, not because I was sick or anything like that. I just wanted to take a break because I don't think I had the break since I went to London 2 years ago. So for 2 years, I've been streaming nonstop. I've been making videos nonstop. And I just took 2 days off, despite the fact that the YouTube algorithm really despises me right now. They don't want you to take breaks. I remember there was Twitch ladies which were complaining about this. It's like, oh my god, Twitch is working us too hard. It's like, you can't take a break. And I'm like, well, you're like a freelancer. It's up to you. You know, you can take a break, but you're going to lose body. Is that Twitch's fault that you are greedy? But yeah, no, there is some truth to it. The algorithm really dislikes you if you take a break, if you don't get super chats. That's another reason people keep asking me, like, why don't you have Streamlabs enabled? And the reason is that if you get super chats, you actually benefit from the algorithm. But if you have Streamlabs, you don't get those super chats. So if you already have like a large community, like you have 2,000 people watching, then yeah, Streamlabs is definitely the way to go. But if you have like a small community like we have here, then super chats are better than Streamlabs. So anyway, hello people in the chat. Hello Christian. Hello Mike Savage. Hello Tetrium and everyone else. If you guys followed me, you know that the video game is working fine. I'm getting a lot of support, unexpected support, and people are excited about it. I got a Blizzard artist to do the UI and to also do the building, the hotel. It looks really amazing. So hopefully I will be able to deliver a really great product. I did get banned from Twitter. Tomorrow I should be unbanned. And woe to those that have tagged me, because I have seen a couple of interesting timelines. Their likes are public, as people like to say. I know what they post on their timeline. Again, it's very bizarre. Like, the more people call you a pervert, when you go onto their timeline, you see very interesting stuff, to the point where you would ask the question, are you the one to speak? Literally, like, are you the one to speak? So, yeah, the Twitter ban is going to come out, and I'm going to reveal some very interesting timelines from people that have called me a pervert. And, you know, this is going to be part of the topic for today. I want to wonder, though, like, is there anything lewd that is not considered to be pornographic by these corporations? Because this is where the conversation starts, and this is also a video that I'm going to make on my main channel. The censorship in Skullgirls, I find it very interesting because this video game was on several platforms. It was on Twitch, it was on YouTube. All of these platforms are incredibly puritanical. They do not allow any type of lewdness. I mean, YouTube is so puritanical that if you were to take a female Twitch streamer and put it on this platform, you can get a community guideline strike. Like out of all the platforms, I think YouTube is probably the most censorious when it comes to anything lewd. Maybe Facebook is all there, but like seriously, YouTube doesn't mess around. Like any type of lewdness, even if it's cartoon. Of course, they do allow actual nudity for yoga for some reason. I do not know why, but there are many yoga videos on YouTube, so like, just actual girls showing their vagina, like, that's fine. I don't understand it, you know, it's their rules. I guess, like, it must actually make sense. You know, maybe yoga videos that are naked are very popular in India or something. But, yeah, and you also have, like, medical things, right? So, like, breast cancer awareness, which, again, it's kind of weird. Like, how many times do women need to show how to touch their boobies in order to find out if there's a cancer, right? Like, it's... But still, other than these very few issues, I have seen people getting banned for the ass of Jesus. Like, there is a scene in the movie Jesus of Nazareth where you can see Jesus's ass, and people who have showed that scene had their channel terminated. So YouTube doesn't fuck it out, right? But they had Skullgirls on YouTube, and no one wanted to ban it because like there's nothing pornographic about it. All right, there are a couple of lewd scenes, right? Fine, but lewdness and pornography are two different things. Like you get to see lewdness when you go to a nightclub, you get to see lewdness when you go to the beach, right? A woman in a swimming attire is lewd, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's pornographic. But for some reason, like this difference doesn't exist anymore. American Outlier, hi V, hope your day is good. Time for a new project. America, finish one and then start the second. American Outlier wants to make a fighting game. I think I know how you can make one, but the biggest problem with fighting games is that number one, you need the network, right, in order to have people play multiplayer. So I don't know how like expensive the servers are, but that is one problem, and the other problem is you need to know how to do the net coding, which is also very difficult because in a fighting game, even the smallest amount of lag is problematic, and fighting games are multiplayer focused. Like if you have a fighting game without multiplayer, no one will buy it. So yeah, I mean, it's a good idea, but like you shouldn't take advantage of the current political climate to create a fighting game, because by the time the fighting game is out, it may be 2 or 3 years, and no one will even know of your of the controversy. Although if you try to crowdfund, sure, you know, like maybe you do find people that are interested in crowdfunding now while the controversy is hot. Thank you for the 490 13. I appreciate it. YouTube recognizes what is safe versus unsafe horny. Oh yes, the really dumb thing. But anyway, right? So as we were talking about, right? Like anything that fits the male gaze, right? Like the heteronormative, straight, masculine, sexual, anything like that is now, for some reason, by some unhinged people, considered pornographic. Right? So Cammy's new costume in Street Fighter 6 is considered porno. Like, by what standard? By what metric? She's wearing a leotard. I mean, you can see that if you go to the beach. It's not, right? Like, I would not consider that to be porn. But again, you know, like, the wise minds disagree. Now, in the case of Skullgirls, there were a couple of panty shots, but they weren't that problematic, and they say, oh, it was belonging to an underage character. Really? I mean, it's a cartoon drawing. It didn't look underage. It is the chick with the hair. Let me show you. Right? Hold on. Just a second, and I'll show you the cartoon. What is her name? Philia? I think it. Yeah. Okay. I found her. The most annoying person, though, is the artist. So, there was an artist which already got paid, and he's like, oh, well, this doesn't upset me because, you know, the devs can do whatever they want, and if the devs can remove everything, then that's fine. So, in other words, he's literally saying, oh, well, I got my body, fuck off. And you know, like, he should have just shut up. But anyway, right, so this is the character we're talking about. I don't see that this character looks underage. Like, I don't know the lore story, but if you can claim that this character is 20, then sure. If you want to say that she's 18, sure. Why? Is it because she's wearing a school uniform? Like, seriously, I don't know the lore. But basically, like, there was a couple of images where after doing a throw, you can see that she has underwear. And it's fan service, right? But it's not pornographic. Like, you didn't see the outline or the shape of her coochie or anything like that. I never even thought about, like, this character being, you know, pornographic or anything. But apparently, the new developers at the game probably couldn't help themselves but spank to it, that they thought that, okay, well, this is sinful. We gotta cover her up because... But obviously, you know, the main issue that I have with this is that when the game was initially made, this was a selling point, right? Like, I'm willing to bet that they used what teenagers are into, and you're not allowed to say this, but it's true, right? Like, teenage men want sex and violence in their entertainment. Like, this is why they're attracted. I mean, look at American Pie, Look at famous American slashers. Look at most of the movies that came in the 90s and early 2000s. All of them glorified sex and violence. Because it's fictional, it doesn't hurt anyone, right? If it's on the screen, it's not a problem. And secondly, and most importantly, this is what teenage men like, right? But like, if you like a violent movie, that doesn't necessarily mean you want to go to Ukraine because you're a violent person, right? So if I like the movie The Terminator, that doesn't necessarily mean that I want to go to a military base where the nuclear launch codes are and start firing the nukes. That doesn't make sense. But apparently, right, like, violence is fine. Like you can have Mortal Kombat where it's like, okay, well, let's talk about how we decapitate the opponent in the most graphic way possible. But anything sexual related is not fine. Like, anything sexual, even like the most minute things, like even this is haram. Because it shows a little bit of skin, so clearly it must be pornography. Like, this is the mentality. This is the ideology that we're supposed to believe now. That like anything remotely lewd, like any type of skin on a woman, is haram. Via reminder, I'm a data engineer, so I have friends in the tech sector, so finding a netcoder is not an issue. The problem will be the server price. Yeah, I mean that if you happen to have connections, then that's great. You know, I know that you're a data engineer, but I generally do not know the type of people that create the netcode. What I do know is that fighting games, unlike like other multiplayer games, have to get like very serious netcodes. Because again, like the smallest amount of lag causes people to be unhappy. People unhappy means refunds. You don't want those. However, I think like Capcom and a couple of other companies have like really, really good netcodes, and there's like advanced technology now, which is like netcode with rollback capabilities and shit like that. So yeah, I don't know. But like, if you know someone, go for it. I do not know how much the server price is like, but there's two possibilities. Number one, not a lot of people play, so you're not going to need that much server power. Number two, a lot of people play, so you're going to get a lot of money from that, meaning that you will be able to afford buying higher servers. But anyway, right, so the main issue that I have with this is not even the lewdness, right? Because a lot of people get upset. It's like, oh, why do you care? Why do you care? It's the principle. Like, the very idea that a company can just change the product you have bought is offending me, right? Like, it's incredibly offensive. So you're telling me that, like this never happened before, right? If in the past you'd have bought a book in the year 2000, it would be the same fucking book in the year 2050. But now, you know, you can buy something online, a product that you like, and then they can change it so that it's not the same product you bought. How is that fair? Well, obviously the question should even be, how is it legal? But the second problem is that they crowdfunded this. Like, this should belong to the community. So you do false advertising now. You're showing a product to people. People are willing to pay and support it. And then you have the audacity, which one of those developers had, to tell people, oh, don't like it, make your own fighting game. Like, excuse me. You know, that motherfucker got ratioed to high heaven, first and foremost. But secondly, this is literally what the community fucking did. Not everyone can afford to make their own fighting game, but people crowdfunded yours. The fuck are you talking about? Like, you wouldn't have been able to make yours if it wasn't for the crowdfunding. And the reason you got crowdfunding is because of the images that you showed to people, which now you're ashamed of. It is so fucking disgusting. And the fact that, you know, that there are people who pretend they do not understand this conversation is even more offensive. Crowdfunding is mostly scams. Not really. I mean, it depends. You know, like I want to tell you something about crowdfunding, right? Because I'm crowdfunding my game now. I'm not really crowdfunding it, but I do have like a Subscribestar account. It really depends on the person. So yes, there are people that use the crowdfunding ability in order to scam others for money. Like, they exist. There are also people, and I hope I'm not going to be one of them, but you start a project, you intend to finish, but let's say the main artist quits, or you get into legal issues, or like this actually happened with a couple of Greek people that were making a game I was interested in. When they added some new images, it broke the code of the game, and no matter what they did, they couldn't fix it. So basically, that is the case where the person does want to finish the product. However, due to various reasons, he is unable to finish it. And the money that he crowdfunded actually did go to artists and the sound guy and the developer, and right. So yeah, I mean, crowdfunding is definitely like an investment. Like if you start your own business, there is a risk. Like right now, I did invest quite a bit into my video game, but if something ends up failing, well, I'm going to lose all my money. There's no way I can get my money back. So it really, like it depends on the type of people. But yeah, no, I do agree. There are crowdfundings that are scams. I don't think that Skullgirls was a scam. However, it is incredibly disgusting to see what happened with it. So, with that out of the way, crowdfunding is more like the ultimate form of pre-ordering. Crowdfunding is more like certain projects would not be able to exist without it. Other projects just want it to be a little bit easier, on themselves. Other projects like what might exist, like for example my project, right? Because people have already donated and they crowdfunded, I was able to hire another artist, which is doing a really good job with the inventory screen. So like you get like some quality of life. You get like more features that you wanted in your game. With game being on topic, have you checked out Doom and Quake ports? No. Making things is very hard and people underestimate the work. Yeah, that is true. Like as a gamer, you have one mentality. Now that I'm starting making my own video game, I have another. There are certain things in a video game that, they look like very small details and you're like, well, why can't they do this and that? And then you realize when you're actually making the game that doing this and that is actually very time intensive. It's very difficult. It's not as easy, basically, right? So, and you also get like some of the dumbest questions ever. Why the fuck? Where do I have Facebook open? Huh? Where is it? I need to kill it. Here we go. I think this is the last one. One of the dumbest questions that I have is like, why isn't your game going to be out on consoles or on phones? I mean, it's not necessarily a dumb question, but I mean, even I as a gamer would be able to answer that. It's like, look, I'm just one guy paying from my pocket. If you want the game on consoles, that would be another line of code, right? Like that would have been, I don't know, like another $10,000 or so. And like, how many people are interested in playing it on consoles, right? So you have to do these risk assessments. Now, see the reason why I'm going to try and get this project going. It is a matter of principle, which I as a libertarian hold, because if people have this sentiment towards people and their hobbies, I might as well make my own. You know what? Like that's fine. Like I will support you as much as I can. If you're going to need any people in order to do your stuff, like sound designers, artists, developers, I'll do my best in order to help you out. At least, like finding people to work with reasonable prices. Because now I do have a network of people. Voice actresses, so on and so forth. It would be nice. Like, I have seen American Outliers manga. He does have some very ushikushi ladies. They would definitely fit in a fighting game. If you want, I will even lend you my main artist to do you some of my own characters if you're interested. I will not ask any money for it because you already helped me a lot. So, anyway, V, streaming while you're on Facebook. I didn't know I was on Facebook. Like, I thought I closed everything, but, well, it is what it is. So yeah, no, like this is the main reason why people are so upset. And I'll tell you what happens, right? Because I know what's going on behind closed doors, because I speak with a lot of individuals who work at these companies. So there's two possibilities what happened with Skullgirls. Number one, they want an ESG loan. Yes, like the meme is real. So the way that you get a loan like that is you go to a mid-range banks. Usually like high-end banks do not deal with ESG bullshit, but mid-range banks do. So you go to a mid-range bank, and the ESG loans, they're very convenient because you don't have to pay a lot of interest on them. Like they're kind of the way to go. But the problem is when you do an ESG loan, they will send one guy that's going to look into your company. They're going to look into the past games that you made, and they're going to give you that score, right? Which is the ESG shit. So this is why they like, okay, well, they want to get a loan, so now they have to perform that they're a progressive company. Obviously they're not, but they need to make the performance. They need to convince that guy that yes, they're definitely woke. Because it's a woke score at the end of the day. It's kind of funny because Larry Fink said it's not political, but it fucking is. So he's like, all right, well, what can we do? Well, we got some individuals with red armbands. Okay, let's censor them. And we got some panzer shot here and there. Let's censor that. Right? Let's create a little bit of controversy where we're going to upset our community, but that's okay because like the tards on Twitter are going to defend us. So that's how it goes. The other possibility is that they already hired HR diversity ladies. And the HR diversity lady, right, it's a position that's paid very well. Like these individuals make sometimes even up to $200,000 a year. So like that, it's kind of like a parasitic job. Like you don't produce anything. You don't really add anything to the company, but you are a drain of resources. Like you leech from that company a lot more than an entire army of developers. So the diversity lady has to justify her pay because she's getting paid an obscene amount, and she has to somehow justify her existence. Yeah, some of them make up to $300,000 a year. Like it's something obscene. Anyway, so they have to justify their paycheck. And what they do is that they have to censor random shit, right? Like they will say, well, this isn't progressive, this isn't right, this isn't, this is too pornographic, this is lewd. I mean, like the very thing, it's like, oh my god, well, this is an underage character. When obviously, she doesn't look anything, but like, it's a cartoon character, but fine. Okay, so you're telling me that Drag Kids Story Hour is fine, Netflix, AJ and the Queen is fine, Disney talking about how they want to push gender ideology in all of their kids show is fine, but the problem that you have, like the reason that society is collapsing is because someone is drawing lewds of this? Are you fucking kidding me? Like can you please guide me through your ideology again from the beginning? And explain to me how if some guy who purchases cowgirls is lusting after this, that is the problem. But as NBC like to point it out, that We're Coming for Your Children song is actually a very good song and has no problems and it's perfectly acceptable, and if you don't accept it, you're a bigot. Can anyone guide me through this side? I just want to understand it, okay? I will be willing to listen with an open mind. I won't interrupt the person. I just want to know, why is it harmful if some guy in his basement is lusting after this, but Drag Kids Story Hour is good. Twerking in front of children is great. Like, all of that shit, perfectly acceptable. This is a little bit too far. Right? Like, I mean, if you're going to ban one, ban both. Like, Drag Kids Story Hour shouldn't be good either. How long until gaming companies start retroactively ripping things out of games? It's very interesting because, like, part of the ESG stuff, like, if you look at what happened, many companies removed shit from the past. Disney managed to get away because of the historical clause. So they didn't remove a lot of their stuff from the Disney, what do they have? Like, the streaming service, Disney Plus, right? Like, a lot of stuff wasn't removed from there. However, other companies, unlike Disney, they did start to censor. And they censor retroactively. And it's because of these ESG fucking loans that they're like, okay, well, we need to get a loan, and it's not that hard if we censor a little bit. I mean, yeah, sure, people will get upset, but marketing will get over it, and like PR is going to do his job. So I yet seen a conservative diversity and inclusion officer. Yes, like to say that diversity and inclusion officers aren't political is disingenuous. Like there is no such thing. Not even a conservative. There is no such thing as a moderate diversity officer. And there were studies showing that they do not bring diversity. Like despite the name implies, they do not do that. What they do is they cause division at the workplace so that the workers don't unionize. That is literally what they do. Because it turns out that when you leave John and Juan alone, they get together quite nice at the workplace. But when you tell John that he is the oppressor and Juan is the victim, and actually it's not, don't look up, it's not the corporate chief that's the problem. It's at the societal level and whatnot. I mean, let me put it this way, right? Coca-Cola had this Robin DiAngelo bullshit where it was telling people how you need to abolish whiteness, right? And there was backlash against it. But they were basically like saying that America is supremacist and racist and blah, blah, blah. Notice how none of these corporations talk about their history. Like they wouldn't talk about the history of how Fanta became a thing, right? They wouldn't talk about how, like Hugo Boss used to do the business with Nazis. Like the corporations aren't historically problematic, right? I know the corporation is fine. It's just the countries, the nation state that's the issue. And you can see why. I mean, it's obviously disingenuous. Like no company will pay money from its own pocket in order to encourage the workers to have disdain towards the company itself or towards its history, right? But for some reason, they do it when it comes to the nation state. I wonder why. Shilling for Pepsi. Is by the way, is Cola and Pepsi the same thing though? Because, and not as in the drink quality, but like if you go all the way up, and you go to the parent company, do they have the same parent company? Like I would not be surprised if it's true. Like you think you have a choice between Cola and Pepsi, but like no matter which you buy, the body ends up in the same pocket. I would have to check though. Why does anyone still drink Coke in this day and age? Eludes me. Mostly because it's addictive, I suppose. But like, Coke actually lost a lot of money. The same way as the beer company, right? The same way as Bud Light lost money. Coke lost money because they had like the whole whiteness bullshit. And the thing with drinks, this is why like the boycott actually works for drinks, and it doesn't really work that well for video games and movies and stuff like that. It's because like people can just change the drink, right? So you're addicted to Pepsi, but then you start drinking Coke or vice versa, and then even if you stop hating the company, you just don't go back anymore. You're just like, well, I'm used to doing this now, so. Yeah, let's see. We got 30 more minutes, so I need to figure out what else we can talk about. Oh, here's an interesting thing. Let's see if I can post it up. This is probably going to infuriate a lot of people. But it is the reality, I don't know if she's legitimately a McDonald's cashier. But I mean, come on. Like, we're at this level now. And initially I thought, okay, well, maybe the women in my country are just, like, that much better looking. Maybe it's just, like, Eastern Europe. But no, apparently, even in the real world, like, if you go to the United States, if you go to other places, yeah, the beautiful women still fucking exist. And what's interesting, though, is that the beautiful women actually hate playing with ugly female characters. It's interesting, isn't it? Right? Meanwhile, there's like two types of women that do not. Well, actually, there's three types of women that do not like pretty female characters in video games. The first ones are the women plus, the modern women. Let's put it like that, right? Women plus. The second ones are the women that are on Twitch and OnlyFans. They don't like competitions. See, now I'm an expert at this shit because I went on their timelines. Like, after spending 4 days on people's timelines to see who complains, I not only spread them into groups, but I know, like, the subsection of the group. Yeah, most average women hate playing as ugly characters. And it's interesting because, like, after speaking with my cousin, which happens to be a progressive woman, I understood the mentality. The women, so like, my cousin was actually defending, I don't even know why the fuck I was doing this, because I was a little bit drunk. Normally I don't like arguing with my family, just so you guys know. But I was a little bit drunk last night, so I ended up arguing with her for like several hours over this shit. And she was defending this character, right? So, and like all of the classics. Why do you care? What's in it for you? Like, do you not think that normal women can look like this? And I was just dismissing all the arguments. I was like, Neo from the Matrix. Why do you care? It's like, well, because it's my hobby, you know? Like, you care about Indiana Jones. You don't like the last Indiana Jones because Harrison Ford is old. Had he had nice pecs and he was in his prime, you'd have gone and watched it. And it's like, okay, the next argument, por favor. It's like, don't you think like other women look like this? And I'm like, yes, and I don't have to pay $70 to see them. The fact that annoys me is that they have the audacity to come on my computer screen with their fucking ads, like showing this eye-gouging character and asking me for $70. I worked for that money. They did not work for this money. Why should they deserve it? Right, so like I was just like Neo from the Matrix, just dodging every single bullet, because like none of the arguments that they can make is something new or refreshing. They're just parroting shit that they hear from other people. But anyway, right, so in the end, my conclusion was like, do you like this character? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, why don't you put it as your avatar? If you like this character, why don't you identify with her? Why don't you buy t-shirts with her? Right? And finally, I was like, did you even play Fable? And apparently not, okay? So the next question, the reasonable question is like, are you going to play it? Are you going to buy this one? And the answer is fucking no. So if she doesn't want to play it, she never played it, obviously she's not emotionally invested in it. She's invested in Indiana Jones because she likes that, right? But she doesn't like Fable. I'm like, okay, fine, you don't like Fable. Then why do you even talk about it? If it's something that you literally do not care, like honestly, but at least I have the reason to be emotional about it because I do care. I did play the previous ones. I did like the franchise up until the previous one, which was also ridiculous, but for other reasons, right? But like, this is why when you argue with progressives, they ask you like, why do you get so upset? Why do you get so angry? Right? It's because unlike them, you do care. Okay? It's not that you are an angry individual while they are the calm guru. They care about their shit. Okay? Go talk about how you want to ban Drag Kid Story Hour and then you see how they get angry. They care about other stuff. But they lack the empathy and the respect which is required to show that other people who care about things that you don't should be tolerated, right? I don't go to them and start complaining about the things they like. Like if Steven Universe gets changed and most of the progressive people don't like it, I just shut the fuck up. It's not my business. I don't watch Steven Universe. I don't care, right? So if I see someone angry about it, I do understand why. I would be like, well, you know, imagine if it happened to my hobbies. Yeah, I would probably be upset as well. Skullgirls is a fucking amazing example. I don't like Skullgirls. Okay? I do love fighting games. I played Skullgirls. Wasn't my cup of tea. At least when it launched, it had too few characters. It had certain exploits. There were cheaters. I didn't like it. So I didn't play it, right? But I do understand the people who are upset now. Because unlike other leftists, I do have empathy. I can understand. It's like, okay, well, it's their hobby. They don't like what's happening. So it is what it is. But it's astonishing, right? That they literally do not have empathy. That's my assessment of the situation. Like all these people who are mocking or laughing or trivializing the fact that you're upset that the franchise that you cared about got destroyed, they do not have empathy. Anita Sarkeesian is the perfect example. Anita Sarkeesian comes in, brings a bulldozer to your hobbies, and then the moment that someone was asking for the Buffy remake, which didn't happen, but the moment someone was asking that the Buffy remake should start a black woman, Anita Sarkeesian got upset. Why? Because she actually likes the Buffy series. So she knows what it would mean. It would mean that, oh, well, if you bring the diversity brigade, it's not going to create a good story. So then she gets upset, right? Like, then she goes on Twitter, starts defending, her hobby. So she defends her hobby while attacking others. Yeah, they have very selective empathy, which is not really having empathy. That's the thing. I don't think I've ever met anyone who likes Fable. The first Fable was really great. The one with the dragon and the mask was good, right? And after that, it went to shit. So if you happen to be an elderly person like myself who actually got to play these games, they were really good. They had a couple of innovative mechanics for their time. The story was funny, and not only that, but they were pretty expansive. Like there was a lot to do in those games. So yeah, and the graphics wasn't that bad either. No, there's a lot of people that like Fable. Like if no one liked Fable, they wouldn't even bother doing a remake. I don't think that this particular one is going to be great, and I will tell you why. Okay, like this is what I told to my cousin as well. Let me see. Give me a second, and I will show you. Right, so if the artists create this, okay, if they couldn't hire even a mediocre artist, like we're not talking about a good person, a mediocre, if they skimmed money on if this is the budget cuts that they did on the art, why should I assume that they didn't do the same budget cuts on the story, that they didn't do the same budget cuts on the quality control? Like, actually, the quality control also suffers from budget cuts. Imagine, like, being a quality control in a game, and you're looking at this, and you're like, yeah, sure. By the way, a lot of people are saying, well, this is the joke, right? Because people expect the protagonist, the hero, they expect him to be the macho man, and no, it's 2023. This is what I expect. There is no fucking joke. So even the writer team can't make a fucking joke. This is not funny. Like, how is it funny? Like, do you want me to pull the list of the other 20 games that came out before it and show you their their female characters, and you'll see that literally all of them look like this? Like, this is not hilarious at all. Like there is no pun, there is no joke, there's no sarcasm. Now, if you did this in the 90s, if you did this in the early 2000s, yeah, sure, maybe you'd have had the point. But let's be fucking honest now. You're not subverting expectations. This is what I expect. Like, you're fulfilling expectations. So, no. Absolutely not. It's not even as in jest, not even as a joke. If you skim money on that, then I do not expect that you actually paid for any type of quality. And you want $70 from me. With what right? You're not going to get $70 from me. You're going to get the middle finger. Thank you, Osmora, for gifting 1 live stream membership. I do not know what this means, but I am happy. Even cheap is not that bad. That was intentional. It probably is, but here's the point, right? When you make arguments, and this is something that people need to understand. When you make arguments, they don't have to be true. They don't have to be false either. What you need to do is to convince the other person of your point, right? Because otherwise, why are you even making the argument? And if you're convincing the normie, then you're doing a good job. What I am saying, though, isn't false. Like, what I am saying isn't a lie. I'm looking at that drawing, and I'm saying, yeah, that there is no fucking way that a good artist would draw something like that. So I'm not telling you to lie, right? Like, you shouldn't be disingenuous. But at the same time, you should frame the argument in a way that the normie understands what you're trying to say. Because if you're going like, oh, there's a conspiracy theory and they made it ugly on purpose, you can't prove that. I mean, it sounds plausible, don't get me wrong, but you can't prove it. But if you say, well, yeah, but like no good quality control would allow that to pass, and no good artist would actually draw like that, a normal person would believe, yeah, you know, that kind of makes sense. The reason they keep making these girls ugly on purpose, from what I understand, is for the women plus to be able to relate. Now, this is a rumor, but again, I can't prove it or not. But if you do look at them, it's not the fact that like these ladies are covered up. You know, no, it's no titties, no ass. Sometimes they may have ass, but usually no titties, definitely. Broad shoulders, strong jawline, masculine features. So, you know, I guess like this theory does add up. Yes, they may actually do their best in order to please a very fringe minority of people. It is intentional though. I don't know about the quality control, but take into account that a lot of people say, well, the game is going to have a character creator and blah blah blah, and I don't give a fuck. Why are you showing this as your best foot forward? Like it's a trailer, right? You're showing me a trailer, so you're trying to convince me to buy your game by showing me the most ugly female character you can create. Like, I'm sorry, but that's not how it works. Like, the trailer is not fit for purpose. I mean, imagine this, you know, like seriously, like let's follow this logic. Let's say you get a commercial for a Toyota, and they bring like the most dirty car imaginable. Like seriously, all right, hold on. This is a great analogy. Oh my god, I am such a fucking genius. Okay. So, I'm not a car expert, okay? I'm not a car guy. I know that a lot of people are going to laugh at me. I don't fucking care. Let's assume this is a Rolls Royce, right? A Rolls Royce. This is a Rolls Royce, right? Imagine you see a commercial with it like this. Maybe there's even like some scratch marks on it. Maybe there's like a broken window. You know, like maybe it's got a little bump on top, and this is the commercial for Rolls Royce. So my question is, would you be convinced by that commercial? And when you complain, they'll be like, well, hold on a little bit. Are you saying that cars like this do not exist? Are you saying that when you go out on the street, you don't see cars like this? This is called representation. Like, of course commercials should have cars like to normalize the idea that cars should fucking look like. Oh my god, I'm such a genius. Oh, this argument. I'm so fucking good, huh? Aren't I, chat? Admit it, chat. Looks like your car. I see. Maybe you should fucking wash it. Maybe you should be ashamed of your car. Isn't this like a masterpiece of an argument? Because this is literally what they're doing. Right? Is it? And the thing is, like, every single time you go and you watch a movie now, a little bit good, yeah, I know. Every single time you go and watch a movie, you see cars like this. Everywhere you look, in every single ad, and and you're like, you know, you're a person who likes cars. You're a person that really appreciates great cars. And it's every fucking where. So you now start asking yourself, why can't we have good cars? Why can't we have them clean? Why do all the cars need to look so used? And then you have like some people coming up, and they're like, well, why do you care? Why are you so upset? Are you saying that cars like this do not look in reality? Look at my car. Look at the car I have at home. Isn't it fucking ugly? So why can't it that be? This is literally what is happening here. I have seen cars like that, but I have never seen a person that looks like the Fable character in real life. That is also a good point. I'm stealing that. I remember there was a Ford commercial. They tried to make the outside of the car look like it was dirty, but the shot when he opened the door inside was immaculate. Of course, because like the whole fucking thing is that human beings do believe in a concept of beauty, and part of concept of beauty is cleanliness. So when you make a commercial for anything, it has to be clean. Even myself, right? I lose probably a lot of subscribers whenever I make a video where my hair is messy, when I don't have a presentable shirt, when whatever the fuck, I just don't care though. But I would understand, like if all YouTubers look like me, and you'd have like some people going, it's like, well, why can't YouTubers be a little bit more tidy? Why can't they just clean up their rooms a little bit? It is what it is. General Motors refused to have their branding on the Decepticons in the Transformer movies. They are the only cars allowed to be shown in them. That's actually a good point. I think like Apple does the same. If you have like car which is, so if you have a villain in a movie, he's not allowed to use an iPhone. So that is the thing. Like they will not give you the license to make a movie where the villain has an iPhone, and you can actually use this to tell in a movie if the character is good or not. So if you have like an ambiguous character and you don't know, like, is he a villain or not? Like if he uses an iPhone, he's a good guy. A leftist would complain that you compare women. Yeah, this is another thing. This is another thing that really bothers me. Like, they do not understand analogies. Literally, whatsoever. Like, okay, so there must be like some damage to the leftist brain. I genuinely think, because not being able to understand analogies may be like a serious problem. Like, no wonder they're not religious. They do not understand Jesus Christ analogy. He talks about the father which had 3 sons, and they started investing and shit, and they don't get that. They're like, what the hell is he talking about? Like, father had 3 sons. But there was like this leftist on Twitter, and he looked at my comment when I posted out that people complaining that if you like some sex in a video game, it means that you're into porn, is like people complaining that if you like violence into video game, you should go to Ukraine. And in the enlightened mind of that particular furry, in the sage wisdom that Anthro Wolf had within that moment, he believed that I'm comparing Ukraine with pornography. I don't know how you can possibly reach this conclusion. I genuinely, like, even in the worst stretches of my imagination, even in the most uncharitable interpretation possible, I was literally baffled. Like, very rarely do I see something on the internet that baffles me. But if I say, like, look, saying that lewdness equals pornography is like saying that a slap equals a war in Ukraine. Like, they're ridiculous. Like, that was literally the point that I was making. The comparisons are moronic. Like, no one should make such a comparison. No one should make such a claim. It is absolutely ridiculous. And the furry says, I'm comparing porn with Ukraine. I mean, like, these are the people that give wisdom to society, I suppose. Like, these are the ones that we should listen to whenever we make politics and important decisions. They literalize everything, yes, of course. Because that gets you banned from social media, right? So, I think, like, Steve Bannon got banned for this because he said the heads will roll. But obviously that's a metaphor, right? Like, it's not something... It's like if you say, God damn it, they believe you're a Christian. It's like, no, it's just a saying. Yeah, but like, you clearly believe in God and you want God to damn it, so... Just like when you compare COVID authoritarian measures to 1930 Germany, how you compare with the Holocaust. I mean, there were certain policies that were fucking similar, so yeah. No one is comparing it with the Holocaust, but they are comparing the policies. Like, if you give one of the... So you give the health minister more powers and authority than the Chancellor of Germany had back then? Yeah, sure. That's an accurate comparison. Too much power given to a minister can lead to bad things. But they're like, oh, well, let's take it literally. Anyway, right. I don't know they're dumb. I think they're disingenuous because they know that it can get you banned from social media. They do try to annoy you so that you can say bad things, but I do think that furry was just special. Anyway, right. I will end this here. I need to go make some videos of the card analogy. Oh my god, you know, if I don't congratulate myself on just what great analogies I have, who's going to do it, right? So let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the comment section. Take care.